Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about being a fearful avoidant and wondering the question, am I deactivating or am I not in a good match? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of the questions we have from inside of our members lounge, one of our forum questions. I'm going to go through it and we're going to talk about how to tell the difference and what to do on either side of the equation there. So before I dive into all of it, we are still doing our With You promotion. You can check out the coupon code is With You, all one word, for 25% off of our membership bundles, 3, 6, 12 months, as well as for single course purchases. And I will put a link in the description box below. The membership bundles give you access to all 40 plus courses that we have. They each come with a 25 or so page workbook, as well as 4 live webinars a week I do with all of our students. And on top of that, we now have 6 attachment run sort of groups. So like mastermind groups every single week that you can join, and they're all over video as well. And then we have guided morning and evening routines with meditations, reprogramming exercises, all that stuff, all available. So let's talk about this question. So this individual says, as an FA, how can I tell whether I'm deactivating and need space and boundaries from a DA partner, or if I'm genuinely out of love or not in a good relationship match? Thank you. So this is a really great question. This is something that happens a lot. Now, first and foremost, the reason this happens for FAs more than any other attachment style, and the reason it can be most confusing for them is that when they shift from their anxious side to their avoidance side, the juxtaposition of being basically at one end of the attachment continuum and then going to the polar opposite end can actually feel a little bit sort of like alarming to the actual fearful avoidant themselves, because you go from feeling like activated and anxious and wanting closeness and really desiring it and being almost like out of relationship to yourself and very needy for somebody else's approval, connection, attention, validation, whatever it might be, to suddenly feeling like that's shut off. And when you're living in that reality, it can be very confusing as to like, whoa, how did this happen? Did I fall out of love overnight? What's going on in the situation? And what's actually happening a lot of the time are a few core things. Number one, you are out of relationship to yourself. And as a fearful avoidant, as somebody who's meant to like really be feeling their emotions, processing their feelings because you're feeling a lot of stuff, the more out of relationship you are to your own feelings or emotions, your own needs, to speaking up and being heard, to feeling seen by your partner because you're allowing yourself to be vulnerable and connected to, without those ingredients, and without being like in relationship to yourself in order to be able to then open up and share those things. Like, for example, you have to hear yourself and know what you need in order to communicate them to somebody else. The more out of relationship you are to your own self, that will directly reflect into your romantic relationship. So you will see, like almost like a mirror, you will see that if you're disconnected from yourself, you feel disconnected in your relationship. And it's really important for fearful avoidance to watch this, because I notice fearful avoidance more than anybody else going through this on a fairly repetitive basis. So that's number one. Number two, you have unmet needs in the relationship. And if you have pervasively unmet needs that are unmet for consistent periods of time, then you will go into subtle deactivation, but it'll feel like it's more long lasting. It won't be as extreme as like the traditional fearful avoidant deactivation when you're triggered. And in this case, you can figure out, am I out of love or am I just feeling like I'm unfulfilled in the relationship because there are needs that I have that are not being communicated to my partner? And the way you can figure this out is you can sit down and you can go, okay, what is feeling unmet? And go through your list of needs, check everything out, ask yourself, like, what is feeling unmet in my life? Am I feeling, and there are so many, and inside the school, we have literally a whole needs course with a list of like 50, 60 different tertiary needs, like your daily needs, and then personality needs that govern your subconscious desires, and then your 6 basic human needs. But you can do a check-in, like, what's important to me in relationships? What do I really want to know and feel like is a component of the relationship? and no will be met in order to feel fulfilled. And where am I feeling not fulfilled? What am I feeling not fulfilled about? And that can help you sort of narrow down if you're uncertain about that stuff. But I would advise you and anybody, if you haven't already, to take the needs course inside of the personal development school, because it'll bring you a tremendous amount of clarity on this topic. But what you can find is, okay, are their needs not being met? And if that's the case, how do I communicate these things in my relationship? How do I make space for me to meet these needs myself, and then also ask these needs to be met from my partner? And what you'll find is that if you do that, and then work through that problem, and you're still not feeling something for your partner, or something, you're not feeling back on track with your feelings, then chances are maybe you're outgrowing the relationship, or maybe the person really isn't a good match. But you can do that work first, because the vast majority of the time that makes a big shift. And all of a sudden, somebody feels back in like the presence of their relationship, the work of the relationship. They feel like they're showing up and it's working. So that's a really important component. And then lastly, fearful avoidants tend to deactivate most strongly and most consistently when they're triggered. And if you're feeling triggered and wondering, am I falling out of love, but I'm mad right now? I'm angry. I feel hurt. I feel rejected. I feel triggered in some way. Then that's not the right time to ask yourself that question. What you want to do is literally, number one, work through that trigger. What are the stories I'm telling myself? Equilibrate those stories, like work to challenge and question them, so you're not, for example, somebody doesn't call you back and you go, they don't care about me at all. And now you're mad at them and hurt because you made up that story. Meanwhile, you don't know what's actually happening as to why they didn't call you back. Obviously, if that's a pervasive pattern, that can be more like an unmet need issue that might reflect you not being a match to the person in the relationship if they never call you back. But if this is a one-time thing and you make a whole narrative around it, that then you trigger yourself with that narrative, then you're not going to be in your right mind to determine whether you are in a good relationship match or whether you're not, because you're too busy being triggered and that's engulfing you. And you have to deal with that first to then be able to determine the next steps, right? The next things that you want to find out. So that's really important. And then also, once you've worked through that story, you want to then get to that balanced state of mind. You want to feel like, okay, I'm rooted in myself again. I've dealt with my feelings. I feel calm. I feel emotionally regulated. And now from this place, let me see how am I feeling about the relationship? So you can check in once you've resolved those triggers. And lastly, if you feel like you're working on your triggers, you have resolved your needs because you've become aware of them, you've communicated them to your partner, and then you feel like this is still a pervasive thing. It's not like a one-day thing or a one-week thing when you're having a tough week or you're busy or you're disconnected from yourself. If this is an ongoing thing, then you know that you have a big problem. And I know it can be hard to end up leaving a relationship, but sometimes if you're feeling truly unfulfilled and it's not about your needs not being met or not communicating or not about your triggers or things like that, then chances are you may not be in the most compatible relationship. And then you have to make the next steps of your decision to remove yourself and prepare yourself to be open to something that will be a better fit for you in the future, and to really nurture the relationship to yourself in the meantime. So hopefully this makes a lot of sense. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please let me know any other questions you have about this topic as well in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.